want to break down how to prepare for the next 90 to 120 days. And I want to break it down into 4 sections, okay? There's cash and liquidity management, there's cost management, right? Expense management, there's communication, and then there's effectively business planning, right? That's more of the prosperous side of it. So from a cash and liquidity management perspective, you got to figure out a couple of things, okay? Because this is critical. One more takeaway I want to give to everybody is you have to understand the difference between money and liquidity, all right? If you've got 40 rehabs on the street that you're working on right now, and you've got 30 grand in each of them yourself personally, you're like, oh, I got $1.2 million. Well, right now, if the markets freeze up, you might have money. It's all tied up in the houses. But if you don't have money in the bank, then you don't have any liquidity. So I want to make sure that everyone understands that right now, liquidity, cash, okay, one and the same, are absolutely critical. So I'm gonna blitz through a couple of things, a couple of ways to create cash and liquidity. If you can extend your payables, let me give you an example. A lot of guys in our group, they're shut down. They can't rehab. Their municipalities are closed, which means they can't close loans or can't close deals or get them recorded. So you might call up your landlord and say, listen, things are going to be tough over the next 90 days. I'm not trying to get out of paying you what I owe you, but is it okay if we take the next 90 days, which if my rent is $3 grand a month, that's $9,000. And then in 3 months, I've still got 27 months left on my lease. Can we spread that 9 months over the 27 remaining months so I can manage my cash right now? Okay, that's only one example. You can do that with all kinds of payables that you have, all right? Perfect example for me right now, there are people who joined the Collective Genius just last 2 weeks. We had 3 weeks, we had a meeting, and I told them, listen, I want to meet you where you're at. I know you wrote me a check for full membership. Why don't we do this? Why don't we break it out over 3 months? Because cash today is different than it was cash 3 weeks ago. And I want to help you manage it, right? So whether it's just make a list of your expenses, okay, and figure out where you have the opportunity to extend payables, okay? If you have lines of credit, right, if you've got lines of credit on your business, I would consider taking those lines of credit and putting them in the bank because it's a cheap insurance policy, all right? Super cheap insurance policy. Typically, lines of credit are tied to the prime rate of some sort. They're very low rates. A lot of times they're interest only. So it's a way for you to have access to cash and have a very small payment associated with accessing that liquidity. And it may help you make it through the next 90 to 120 days if you need that. You might not, right? You may have a situation where examine your business. Where are opportunities that your lenders can defer principal payments, right? So let me give you an example. If lenders, let's say that you've got a rental portfolio of single family homes and you've got loans on each of those homes, okay? Right now, if a lot of your renters lose their job, they're not paying rent, which means how are you gonna be able to pay your mortgages, okay? And so the point there is, can you get your mortgage holders to flex with you while this is working out? So you really want to attack payables. If you want to attack your payables and see if you can accelerate your receivables. All right. So let's see. This is a fairly advanced structure. If you're running a decent sized business, you want to build a daily and weekly dashboard of revenue and cash. You've got to know, this goes back to what we were first talking about. You got to know what's yours and what's not. And you got to know how to manage it, okay? And you need to have a dashboard. If you have a decent accountant, my response, I did this with my CPA, Marcus Krigler, who Don was talking about a minute ago. We're doing a call about the CARES Act tomorrow. I got on the call with him. It was last Monday, about, 8-9 days ago. It was like at 6 o'clock, and you got on the call, and we went through and kind of created a dashboard, if you will. Okay. Here's another thing. Here's something that I would suggest everyone does. Let's cover this in 2 formats. If you have a P&L and if you don't. Okay. If you don't have a P&L, get out your phone. Okay. Open up your credit card app in which you put your household and business. Maybe you have separate cards, but bottom line, open up your app that you use to manage your expenses via, or that you have credit cards, right? Start flicking and start chopping. That's about as easy, the easiest way that I can put it. You will find that you have things that you can do without until this kind of uncertainty stabilizes, okay? Everybody, I don't care if you're making 50 grand a year or 50 million, you can go through this exercise, okay? What you're seeing here is if you're running again, a little bit, if you're a little bit more established from the business perspective, you should go into your P&L and you should take your expense section, okay? And you should cut and paste that expense section into a new tab in that spreadsheet or that Google Sheet, okay? And then you want to force rank that. I know this is difficult to see. I had to respect my members' privacy here because this is what we're doing right now. You see these Zoom calls are our members. That's what we're doing right now. So you want to go in, and once you cut and paste your expenses, I want you to force rank them from highest to lowest, okay? And once you do that, you need to look at those line items that you force rank from highest to lowest, and then you need to figure out, you need to think through when or what you can cut. Where can you save money? All right. And then here's what I would do. Once you've kind of established what that looks like, what I would encourage you to do, this is actually a bucket system. Okay. You want to have, and I'll black this out, bucket 1, bucket 2, and bucket 3. And what bucket 1 is if you look at and you say next month, if I make less than X amount of dollars, I need to cut this, I need to remove that, etc. Bucket 2 is if in May I make less than X amount of dollars, I need to turn this system off or that product off, or I may have to let some staff go. And bucket 3 is if in June we make less than X amount of dollars, I've got to, you want to take the data that sorting your P&L from top to bottom gave you, and you don't want to just sort your P&L. Unfortunately, and I know this sounds tough, but here's the thing: you want to make hard decisions while you're logical. Right now, we're in a phase where everybody's still logical. If I don't know, I don't have a crystal ball. If this thing gets harder in the next couple months, more difficult to run our businesses, we're going to get emotional. You don't want to do this exercise that I'm walking you through right now when you're emotional. Do it right now when you are rational and logical, okay? Create your buckets. Like I'm in a position right now, I don't have to let employees go. I'm not really cutting expenses, right? But I have a plan. This is actually my P&L right here, the possible cuts and the buckets that you're looking at, okay? And if you look in the top right-hand corner, if I had to cut down to the bone, I feel like I could shave $523,000 off of my expenses each year.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that would be that's bucket 3, right? Those are ugly, hard decisions.
Apocalyptic.
What's that?
Apocalyptic.
Yeah, and like I said, this is the preparing now versus waiting till it happens.